Thank you so much for joining us, everybody. We have a wonderful episode set up today. We are being joined by Brady Campbell of EagleView. He's going to share with us some of the most exciting factors of our recent EagleView integration. We also have Chris Morris from our team who is going to be here as well, and we're going to share some of the most exciting aspects of this integration. And these two guys are going to take us through what that really means for our industry, for our users, and most specifically, how you can tie that into your Roof Quote Pro account. Brady, do you mind introducing yourself and giving us a little bit of background?
Yeah, for sure. First off, thanks for having me. Really appreciate you guys. Exciting opportunity here with you, and for everybody out there, all the contractors out there. I'm Brady Campbell. I'm the Vice President of Business Development here at EagleView. I primarily work a lot with software companies on how we can ensure we empower that journey for all contractors' workflow. I started EagleView about 10 years ago. Was literally in a cubicle, and I went to carrying a bag, doing outside sales. But here I am today. I've learned the lesson from all the contractor stories, and really excited about what we're going to get into today and how we can make the lives of these contractors and the homeowners just a lot better.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that. And Chris, do you mind giving us just a little introduction to yourself as well for the people who might not know?
Yeah. Hey, thanks for all the people joining us today. Really excited to talk about not just the space that we're in and not just the integration between these two great businesses, but moreover, just the global marketplace, where it's headed, where we think it's going, our leading and lagging indicators that help us invest in the dev and the relationships that we're talking about here. And so, been around software, been around manufacturing. Unfortunately, I've known Brady since he was in a cubicle, carried a bag, and now look at him on top of the mountain there. But anyway, looking forward to having more of a conversation with the group. So please, I know Justice will do a great job of moderating this, but we'd rather have a discussion than a presentation. So stop, start, omit, ask the hard ones here. And again, thanks for having us.
You bet. Thank you guys both so much for joining in and giving me some of your time. And I do also want to mention we were going to do a live Q&A at the end with Brady and Chris. So if you have questions throughout, go ahead and throw them into the chat. We'll hold those until the end, and then we will address them as they come up. So Brady, I'm going to pitch the first question to you, and I'm going to leave y'all's imagery up behind here to just give a little bit of data and background to the conversation that we're having here. So firstly, Brady, to kick us off, can you give us a brief overview of EagleView, both as a product and as a company? Who is EagleView? What do y'all do?
Yeah, it's a great question because, we've been around for a long time, but there's actually a lot of intricacies that we do at EagleView kind of make us who we are. So, we don't need to read off the slide, but we've been in the business for over 20 years. We've been doing this for a long time. And the way we do it is actually through aircraft. That's how we're able to capture this imagery, because that's really what powers all that data that flows from us. So that imagery essentially gives us that property intelligence, the property data that we're going to be able to allow customers to order and allow that to flow through the software like Roofle. The one thing that's really different for us is not just the aircraft that flies around 5,000, 7,000 feet instead of a satellite, is that we're able to provide different perspectives of that imagery. One of that really key one is not just the ortho, which is your straight top down, but it's at the angle stuff. So what we call oblique imagery. That's what's really able to drive not only just like the way that the roof is pitched, but we're able to look all the way around that structure or that parcel. And that's how we're able to extract all that intelligence and that data from that property, which goes beyond just measurement. So in that kind of a sense, when you look at us flying aircraft of our own aircraft, but when compare it to satellite, is a typical satellite's around 16, 17 inches per pixel. So that little dot of color on your screen. So we're around 2 to 3 inches per pixel. So we're able to drive a lot more accuracy because those cameras in the aircraft are able to really look deep into that property. We even have areas of the country where we're sub 1 inch. So that meaning that it's like super, super definitive, accurate imagery that we're able to provide and to be able to extract data from. The other key component for us is we're heavy in the insurance side, but we are also big on the retail side. But whenever there are things out there that cause a lot of damage, like storms or anything like that, those cat storms, We want to make sure that we can just amp up the machine in the background to make sure that we're able to provide a very reliable output, right? So our most people know us for our roofing reports, right? And as well as our sightings. But I think the biggest thing is to know is that even when we have such types of catastrophic storms that come through, the first thing we got to make sure is we go and try to refly the area. And we partner with local governments and such and FEMA to ensure that we're capturing that stuff, not only for the contractors, but for people on the ground, right? That's a very big thing that we make sure that we do for all those homeowners. But we're able to really push that level on that lever to making sure we're getting contractors the data they need and the time they need it. So in a sense, when we look at that, that number, it's almost 50,000 reports in 24 hours. That's something that comes from all sides of the businesses flow into and ask for those types of data from EagleView. And we can turn that faucet all the way on and make sure that we're getting that data to them on the time they need it. It's all based on a lot of patents we drive. That's what allows us to do all the stuff that we do today off that imagery. And that kind of services a lot of different components of the markets. And so we obviously have heavy in construction, what we're talking about today. We're in the solar side. We sell a lot to government. We're also in utilities. We talk about power lines, oil and gas. So a lot of that imagery is not just about the measurements, but what's in the property. So that's where we drive that property intelligence. So overall, yes, we're an aerial imagery company, and then we are able to extract a lot of that property intelligence and serve that to the necessary people so that they can do and carry on without having a lot of time waste and inaccuracies and all those pieces. So we try to get those all buttoned up for everybody so they can go on with their lives and be focusing on the business and the homeowners. That's our goal.
Man, that is a fascinating overview, and I learned so much just through that. I mean, we've prepped for this webinar for a couple of weeks now, and I've been learning bit by bit, but that overview honestly gave me so much information. That's why I love doing these. I get to learn so much from y'all. All right, so following right up on that, what separates EagleView from everybody else? What makes y'all so unique beyond, the combination of satellite imagery with airplanes and everything? Give me the skinny on it.
I think, if we stay on the slide, you just look at that, you kind of understand there's a lot of reliability, right? And there's a lot of consistencies that we drive. But the reality is that being able to have really accurate images to be able to derive really accurate measurements is that key differentiator, right? And we understand there's a lot out there. We totally get it. There's even tape measure, which we totally understand as well. But what we found that there's a couple of things that are imperative for anybody's workflow, whether it's government, solar, construction, or anything, is that time is money, right? You need to make sure that you're saving a bunch of time by compressing your projects so you can turn more faster. You shouldn't be having to go back out twice. You shouldn't have to be reordering more material. Like, that's all costly dollars that people should be looking at and accounting for. I mean, even if you turn on your truck and head over there for 15 or 20 minutes, that's all things that you probably didn't need to do in the first place. So you want to make sure you have that accurate data up in the front so that the rest of that process is really dialed. So we weigh really heavy on accuracy. We have to be that gold standard from that ground truth. That's not only just important to us, but that's what we stand for. So for us, it's talking about the aerial imagery to extract all that data. And more importantly, it's to drive that through the platforms that are able to power those workflows. For Roofle, for example, we want to make sure that type of data is in place with those proper channels so that they can use the data, not just from EagleView.com, but they can order that right there within the platform so that they never have to hop back and forth between screens. You stay where you are. We are where you live. And that's where what really drives the uniqueness of EagleView, is that we want to drive partnerships that really, truly help the rest of the industry and allow them to not have to go twice to a job site, not have to spend time on it. We want to drive efficiency and compression so that they can keep on turning those projects more and more.
Yeah, I think just real quick, I just want to double down on what Brady just mentioned. Is I think a lot of times we confuse cost versus efficiencies or net new costs. So it's seemingly a net new cost to spend for any platform, forget our just any tech or what have you. But is it really a complete net new? Meaning, is it an additional expenditure that you wouldn't need? And to Brady's point, is you have to get a measurement by hook or by crook to give an accurate price. So, I just want to talk about is going to the job site with a tape measure. You have to spend that time, whether that's an hourly employee commission, but it doesn't matter. There's time spent, dollars invested, gas, vehicles, all this stuff that you could be actually more efficient with what is perceived as an additional spend. It's really not. It's usually a net advantage when you use technology correctly. And I think that's I want to harp on is, when do you use EagleView? How do you use EagleView? And what efficiencies can you find? And the same with Roof Quote Pro is, where is it? Where does it play? And then how can you double down as a contractor to be more efficient with the resources that you have?
Yeah. Not to mention risk mitigation. I mean, getting in a vehicle is probably the most dangerous thing that the average American does every single day. Not to mention go climb up on a roof. We want to bury those risks. And so I did have a next question for Chris, but before we do that, I do want to highlight what this integration looks like for our users, since that's what we're talking about today. And now we're going to keep it pretty conversational, so I'll blast through these pretty quickly, but I did want to kind of whet the appetite of anyone who's not familiar with what this looks like. So we did build a very nice integration with EagleView. And so like Brady said, they want to work where we live. And so for those of you who live inside of Roof Quote Pro and use that on a daily basis, they did tie right in with what we are doing. So first and foremost, your integration is as simple as logging into EagleView. You click that connect button, you log into it as if you were logging into your YouTube account using your Gmail credentials. Click the connect button, pulls you up to an EagleView page, put in your credentials, and your accounts are integrated. As simple as that. It's also mobile friendly. The next thing that we have is you can order both Bid Perfect and premium reports. We have them automated and we have them manually. So you can order manually through a couple of different locations inside of our portal. And you can also set it up so that your customers can automate that system. And when they request a final proposal from you, it automatically generates an EagleView report. So placing your orders manually should be very familiar to anyone using EagleView already. You simply click in one of the various locations to place an order. You select the order type, then you provide some notes about it, and you hit order. All you have to do from that point is wait. The automation process for RQP users, you will just go into your widget settings. You will go ahead and set up that automation, choose the type of report you want to generate, and choose a backup in case your first choice is not available. From there, your customers will see this when they get their instant quote. So they get their instant quote, shows up, they request email details, and they will immediately be presented with the option of request a final proposal. What that does is generate the EagleView report of your choice. So that customer will get a notification that we're working on that final proposal. As soon as you get those EagleView reports, they will populate into your RQP account, as well as anywhere else that you access EagleView. We are not locking them in here. Anywhere else that you typically will find your EagleView reports, it will populate there as well, downloadable as an XML and as a PDF.
Yep.
You can then use that to populate right into material orders if you are using a Beacon Pro Plus account through RQP, and just populate that order and automate it even further. And from there, you just wait for the orders to show up and you are set to go. We have a couple of partner pages and links through here. We also have a guide in the chat. I did not want to miss the opportunity to kind of show how simple, clean, and streamlined we've made that process. But to get it back to the conversation here at hand, I did want to drop it back to Chris. Chris, with all of that in mind, the simplicity of this, with everything that Brady has shared with us, walk us through your vision for this integration. What motivated this partnership in your mind, and what does that mean for our contractors?
Yeah, good question. So we say simple integration, and it is really clean, but really what we try to do from a Roofle standpoint is we try to take very, very complex things and have simple outputs. So while it looks very clean, being able to go have dual duplicity through, being able to order in different places and all populate into one or the other is much more of a decision tree than we're probably giving it credit for. So if we have any devs, right, that could potentially hear this webinar, I'm very quick to say nothing in dev is easy.
Yes.
We say it's easy because to our customers, you're able to push buttons and things happen. So what we want to do is be able to take and harness the intent. So when you think about really what Roof Quote Pro does, it doesn't create homeowner demand, it harnesses it. Homeowners have showed us time and time again, study and study again. I know Roofing Contractor Magazine just put out another study that shows the desire for homeowners to buy in this manner, the desire to get some sort of barometer on price or guardrails on price, the ability for a contractor to show how they're more sophisticated, higher quality than others by being able to use technology to go, again, capture that demand that's out there. And then what we wanted to do is be able to run that through this assembly line and be able to give the contractor the ability to say, yep, this is, the homeowner is in this barometer, right? And then I want to finalize it. And I want to be able to push a button, and I want to be able to get to the foot of everything. I want to be able to get to the box, to the roof boot, right? To the pipe boot. I want to be able to do that and with confidence, or I want to make sure that I double down on this homeowner. That is, again, if you think about it, Justice, they have shown intent. So this isn't just your average or your general browser or organic traffic, paid search, social, doesn't matter. This is someone that has said, hey, I want to see what this potentially costs my house. I'm willing to put in my name, number, email address to be able to get a return on something very intimate to that property. Furthermore, we're able to go look at the buyer's journey and see what products they chose, to see what finance options they've chose, giving the contractor, our customer, our mutual customer, the ability to go push a button based on that intent, that demand. So this wanted to make sure that we're not suggesting that it's willy-nilly, like anybody that comes on your site is going to push a button, you're going to incur a cost. It's no, this homeowner has gone down this customer journey. And I'd be willing to say, I think it's very valuable to be able to get that insight with an EagleView report based on the journey that they have completed. So that probably didn't answer your question, but I wanted to
be honest, Chris. I didn't expect you to answer my question. I know you well enough at this point.
Yes, but and again, working with Brady for the decade or so now, looking at where EagleView's journey has come, looking where the Roof Quote Pro has come, and having that initial B2C and now completely going B2B, being able to use those 4 or so years of knowledge to be able to produce the customer experience for both the homeowner as well as the contractor. And again, I think the key for me is what we're continuing to build is easy buttons for contractors to push that is based on the demand of their end user, i.e. the homeowner. And so creating that environment that connects, and EagleView is just one example of having that connectivity, being able to use webhooks to push into CRMs, where guess what you can find in your CRM too, or most CRMs, your EagleView reports. So now you can push. So now we've just complemented the contractor's workflow instead of disrupting it. So disruptive technology complementing the workflow. I think that's
a profound way to put it.
Yeah,
it really is. And I think something that people forget about sometimes is, Roof Quote Pro as a tool is relatively new. And it looks like it popped up out of nowhere, but Roofle as a company is not new. And we have been working on the customer experience and that end user experience and what is driving their decision-making for several years now. And I think that speaks volumes in the way that we have built out our platform. And we have the time and the experience investing in the B2C arena and learning what consumers are looking for and then fitting that into the needs of contractors.
And again, no B2C at all, 0.0, just so I know that it gets confusing. So no B2C, not a lead aggregator as well. This is one-to-one, completely white labeled to the contractor. We just get that a lot at trade shows and in these webinars. So I always just want to make sure that we let it know, like, this is one-to-one to the contractor. It's their instance, completely white labeled. And that's why we've given that ability to go add the toggle buttons, or add those buttons to be able to choose your journey inside of here. So you can manually push it. You can have it go through a process and where it would execute the bid perfect or the premium report. But I would just say too, when you think about the word project ready. So what we mean by project ready is that they've shown intent, they've come to the site, they've gone through the decision tree to fill out information, they've been returned something each and every time that they put in information. And then what does the contractor get? So the contractor, is able to see where their journey took place online, to see what products they browsed, to see what finance options that they've chosen, potentially go through Contractor Loan Pro and get pre-approved. So now if I'm going out, I think it's not really a sales call. I think it's a confirmation call if we're choosing to not be complete e-commerce, semi-e-commerce. So now you're going out just checking on all the things that they've already said. Can you imagine how you're lining your truck or your vehicle up You know exactly what shingles to bring out. You know exactly what finance options that they've gone or potentially been approved for. You have your measurements all ready to go. You trust but verify maybe on a couple key items like number of layers. You know, maybe it's part of your process to go in the attic and see if there's any ventilation or insulation, you know, things that you can either add on or you can discover before final contracting price. All those things that you can have ready to better serve your customer as a contractor.
Chris and I can go on for ages on this stuff, and I think that's kind of why Chris and I really enjoy talking about this. Is how do we improve that? And like, I think Chris hit on a couple of things. I want to make sure we think through just like the homeowner perspective, right? And the typical journey for not just the contractor, but for the homeowner. So homeowners today are different. They buy differently. They source data differently. It's different in the last 10 years, and call it 20. But at the end of the day, these homeowners are going to be searching from their phone for a local contractor to service a need. And they're going to go and they're going to see a prospective amount of results come from whatever search engine, right? And they're going to be looking at potentially these contractors' websites. And this is where Roofle really comes into play, is harnessing not only just the homeowner's demand, but they're harnessing the power of the contractor. The contractor's probably been there for 20 or 30 years, right? They've built this Rolodex. They built this brand equity out there in the market. They're the local champion in their town. And they actually can provide a lot of that stuff right there on their website, right? He's basically saying, we've been here for 30 years. Here's some homeowner quotes about some great things going on with them. And by the way, you know, if you want to look at it for a quick estimate, click here, right? So you're harnessing that homeowner's journey to come through. So at the end of the day, these homeowners aren't the same. They're looking not for an in-person. You have to call the roofer, right? You have to make an appointment, yes, and then all these things. But if you were able to just maybe allow the homeowner to act as they want to act without anybody there, this is the way you do that, right? You allow them to virtually experience that contractor's company through the website, through Roofle. And what do they get in return? They get a pretty decent amount of information, but more importantly, they have that connection with the roofer without having to go through all that logistics of finding time at 6 p.m. or 11 o'clock or on Saturday or Sunday. So this gives that ability for EagleView to actually power that experience. And that's where we want to really drive, is that, to Chris's point, is that you want to show up prepared. And the more data that a contractor can extrapolate from that interest online, the better that chance is going to be to close that job. And that's what this really comes down to, is how do these guys prepare themselves for better close rates because they have everything they need. I mean, imagine being at the door. The Chris point again is you have the right material, you have the right interest, you have a finance ability, you have a quote in hand. All of these things are combined so that when they go to the homeowner, it's not a 2-hour sit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everything's right there. They might take a lap around the house and look at somatic stuff. At the end of the day, you want to spend your time selling, not measuring and quoting and everything else, right? That's you don't make money on top of the roof, you make it in the kitchen. So the whole point of this is to make sure that Roofle's going to be pulling that data. We're going to be powering that estimate. So they go up there, save time, compress the project, and go to the next appointment. And that's where we really want to strive. And when you look at this slide and you say, wow, it's a lot of data. But the reality is that homeowners want more than just a roof, or can want more than just a roof, right? A lot of these contractors out there today are offering siding half the time, and more of them are offering gutters. That's an easy win. That's right out of the gate. Hell, if you're doing exterior paint, offer that. Go sub it out and find somebody else to do it. So there's a lot of things that they can do to hone a roof. There's upselling potential all the way through to the end of the cycle. And that's kind of where we really want to harness that to give homeowners, through contractors, that ability to choose for themselves and prepare themselves for a really good visit from that roofer. And that's where we really want to hone it in and prepare that roofer for what he's going to be exposed to with the homeowner.
Yeah, that's a good point too. I mean, there's a lot of efficiencies that are being met, and you can't blame a homeowner that knows that it's going to be in the tens of thousands for wanting an estimate, right? Wanting a ballpark, wanting an idea of what they can plan to pay for, budget for, what have you. And I don't think a lot of them really want a 2-hour hard closed thing at the beginning just to get an idea of what it is they need. And so I think it's a great way. Plus, gun to the head, if you're a contractor, which I'm a recovering contractor, but there are you don't want to send a great salesperson across town, through traffic to a one-legger that's never going to close, or to somebody who thinks it's going to be 1,500 and it's 15,000.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that because we hear that a lot, right, Justice, in our onboardings, and we hear it a lot in our sales and at trade shows and what have you, or through demos. Is but there's one, and we need to be there, and we need to close them there. And I don't disagree, but there's a point of when it said, hey, can I get more by being efficient, more sales? And I just cut those ones out. And finally, with that, on the same theme, is we had a huge, over $100 million, mainly retail contractor who absolutely disliked everything that we're doing. But his comment was, I know that there's 30 to 35% of our current customers that would prefer to buy this way. And that really is like, okay, I get it, because we are servicing the homeowner at the front end, and there's just such a bigger subset. And then the other kind of in finality here would be, on this point, would be really that through 2020, it's really driven a lot of those okay boomers right back down into the tech space. If you wanted to meet with a financial advisor, if you wanted to meet with somebody helping you, healthcare type folks, it was the Zoom, the Teams, the Meets. It was all those platforms that they've been on. If you wanted to go order a cool beverage, or order from a menu, you had to use the iPhone to go here. So a lot of these folks were really driven back into this market, and we're seeing all the metrics that would support that theory.
Yeah, that's a great point. And something that I always like to remind contractors of is, we're in roofing, right? All three of us are involved in roofing, and we have some familiarity with it. But homeowners, they might only buy a single roof in their entire lifetime. And that being said, they don't know much about roofs most of the time. They have no idea what it costs. So for them to have to think, I've got to sit through 4 different estimates of people coming out to my house and talking to me and getting on my roof and pushing me to try to make a sale, just to find out what the price range would be, when you can go ahead and put it on your site. You can make it an instant decision for that customer, and they can already see, okay, at least I have a ballpark. Even if I do get a few people show up to give me an in-person estimate before I make a decision, I at least know here's somebody who presented themselves professionally and who gave me that transparency of providing me with a price before they even came out and tried to sell me a roof. So as other people are showing up, I can keep that in mind. I already have a price range in mind. I know what my roof should cost. I have a ballpark. So if somebody shows up with 25%, 30% over that, I know that they might be trying to take me for a ride.
That's spot on, Justice. I think that's the point that that Roofle is trying to drive here is that, homeowners are already going against the grain on wanting to have 4 different estimates. That's a lot of time that someone who works 40 or 50 hours a week, right? And then has to find time to go and have someone tell them that we're going to pay you $20,000, right? That's a really tough experience. And so you need to lighten it up just a little bit, right? Just to lighten it a little bit and build a little credibility. So when that guy that shows up in front of your house, that shirt logo matches the truck's logo, which matches the website logo, and they have that feeling of like, okay, I feel good about this, right? This roofer's been in business for 30 years, solid website. He's giving me the ability to look a little bit deeper into what it's going to take for me to replace my roof. And then he comes up prepared, right? He comes up ready to go and doesn't need to do all the things that's previously been anticipated for centuries of doing roofing, right? And I think that's the time you got to harness the data that's out there, the interest level, the metrics, everything, so that when they come there, that homeowner knows, wow, right? That guy was way different than the previous sit that I just had, who spent 2 hours up on my roof trying to find things and had physical samples like up against the house. Like, does this color look great? So all those things need to be applied to a workflow, especially when it's coming in from that lead funnel, right? And I think that's the point. Customer acquisition cost is expensive. Mm-hmm. It's after that, right? Yes. How do you nurture and push that down that lead funnel and then make sure the experience is what it needs to be so that you can maximize that customer acquisition cost on every single homeowner that you do? So once you start perpetuating that type of experience with homeowners, everything starts to reverberate back to profitability, maximizing sales, filling the basket. Like, all those come into play. And that's where we should really be driving that data and extraction to allow these guys to be prepared and to be timely and to spend that time with the decision maker and then
Right.
move on to the next, and then just keep hammering that, and just it goes in circles and circles. And I think that's where we're really trying to drive.
Yeah, and I think too, when you look at it, when you go into, if you go, let's use the easiest thing for big ticket items like a car. And so you go in and you buy a car, you've got an idea online of what it's going to be. You've got an idea for sure on what payment would be. And they even have calculators, right? So you can go make it a little bit more uniquely yours for your family and your budget. But when you go in there, just because you went in there for the $399 payment doesn't mean you're not walking out with the $699 payment once you test drive, once you're in there. So there's still a lot of room for upselling. I think too is what we found the contractors are having the best success is they're actually building out their process and they're showing it to the homeowner. And inside of the Roof Quote Pro platform, you can actually go and have a thank you page that talks about what to expect next. You can have that online to be able to show them through the platform programmatically or automatically on how things work. Now imagine being able to go out there with a metal shingle, with an asphalt shingle, whatever they looked at, with your finance buttoned up on what you're going to offer and what they've already been approved for. And then you could even show them that, right? The EagleView. Most folks have never really seen that high of a resolution picture of their home. We know that over 95% of homeowners have never been on their roof. So now you're the expert, you're showing in, you're actually being able to educate them. And I believe in my heart of hearts, that's what contractors want to do. They want to go in and they want to be the educator. They want to show value in themselves as a sales individual as well as a business. And when you do that, it's just shown, again, just look at the metrics. It's shown a significantly higher close rate.
Yeah, absolutely. So now, guys, before we jump into our Q&A, I did want to just leave some space in case either of you gentlemen had any final points that you wanted to share, anything else, any of these slides that we want to highlight again, any data you want to bring up, just anything that we want to do before we jump into our Q&A session.
Yeah, one thing is I just believe in software. It's not a savior type software. Meaning you still have to be a good contractor using it. It's no different than, it's going to shock Brady, but I'm not very mechanically inclined. And I know that's going to be hard for most people to believe. But so is it the tool's fault in my garage or the fact that it's dusty and that I don't know how to use it or not capable of using it? So, when you use technology, it's only as valuable as again, to complement what you're currently doing or what your goals are. So if you're not driving people to your site, meaning good SEO, you're not doing paid search, paid social, you're not working the farmers markets or the home shows and all that, it's just going to sit there. And so, we'd rather have someone, to be quite honest, that not sign up and not be able to use the value if it's not going to complement what they're already trying to do. So I just want to say, I mean that humbly stated too, by the way, it's really great. Both this and this integration is really great if you use. So if you take EagleView and you just run the reports programmatically, but you're not using it in your sales presentation, you're not going out to check and use it to be more efficient with your fleet vehicles that are out running. If you're not doing that, then you're probably not going to see the ROI that we just described. But boy, if you do suture that or put that in, you're going to see ROI almost immediately.
And Justice, would you mind going back just one slide? If you don't mind? I wanted to touch on a couple of these things here. This performance report actually came from Job Nimbus. They went out and field verified with about 600 different contractors. But I wanted just to highlight a couple of these things. Is number one, 52% of roofers offer good, better, best options. Over 50% of those customers chose best. So when you start really doing that math, you start realizing that you don't need to make it complicated for homeowners, right? Give them the options that are out there and allow them to sift through that. Not only is it a better experience for them, which gives you a lot more, that brand equity we talked about, but these homeowners just need more information to make the best decision, right? And we all know there's the penny pinchers out there and the tire kickers and all these things, but this is the type of tools, right, to Chris's point, that if you use them, you can go out and harness what's already going to be expected, but make them allow them to make a better decision on what's out there. So even just without things, like homeowners are already going to be buying that higher premium price, even when you give them those three good, better, best options. And I think that's very strategic. If you just look at your numbers, I'm speaking to contractors out there, go look at your last couple of years, go look at all your results, go measure those things. Now, what if you were able to amplify that through time savings, through software that can harness. So all those types of pieces that can just make it just a little bit cleaner. These tools start paying for themselves exponentially once you invest the time and effort to make these things work. And I think that's a part of when you can start focusing on like the per job project, like profitability. You start really diving deeper into some of those granules. And to one point, and I just got to say this because I love saying this, but it gives you the time back to be a leader and not a manager, right? Because at the end of the day, when you're owning your business, you constantly, it's your blood, it's your sweat. You start it with one hammer and nail, all those things. But like at the end of the day, you made it what it is. So be a leader and not have to micromanage on these old smaller things. Give yourself the time to allow your team to go and use the tools, harness the demand, allow these customers to make their decisions, and it's going to make things just a lot smoother and a lot quicker and compress that project.
Well said.
Very nice. Very nice. So for now, we'll open it up to some Q&A. We do have 2 already in here that I'll pitch. Chris, you're probably the perfect person this. Will Roof Hub be integrated with Roofle anytime soon, the material ordering with SRS?
So we have all this on the road marks or the roadmap. So the short answer is it's not today. The long answer is I would guess that it will be. But we do have webhooks, which is interesting. So webhook through a Zapier. So all webhooks are basically just little pieces of code that allow you to take information from one platform and then repopulate them in another. So there are ways to be able to do this as well. Some of you may have heard of Zapier, depending on which part of the country you live in. But you can go see a lot of this enables folks to have their own integrations.
Yeah, it is a way. Yeah, it's kind of a, I wouldn't say bootleg, but a more of like a streamlined way to connect anything that's not already fully integrated. Like the EagleView integration is just put in your password and your credentials and you're connected. Webhooks is one step in between, but it's basically an envelope connecting your Roofle account into whatever else you need to connect it to, CRM, order material ordering, what have you. And then we got another question. We are ordering EagleViews through our Beacon Pro Plus account. Our EagleView account is integrated with our Beacon Pro Plus. Curious how RQP bills for the EagleViews. We don't. That's the cool thing. We don't. It goes right into your EagleView account. Yeah, yep. There's no additional billing that comes through us. It is a full-on integration. So whatever you're already doing with EagleView, you just have access to it through our tool.
Yep, and just to put some color on that, Justice, so any of these integrations are going to be still the same way that Beacon Pro Plus bills or the way that Roofle bills. It's still going to be EagleView handling the transaction for you guys. So wherever you're ordering, preferably you want to be ordering the front, like we talked about, get that data in early so that it streamlines the process and you don't have to handle a bunch of stuff afterwards. But yeah, so the integration, you can have both integrations in play for whichever ways you want to order, but it's still EagleView billing the account the same way as always.
Awesome. Anybody else got something they want to pitch to us? Anything else that you want to see? We can do a live demo of anything specific that anyone wants to see here while we're on, or anything else that we want to dive into before we let these 2 gentlemen go. We'll give it a minute or 2 here in case anyone's a little shy.
While people are typing, I'm sure there's masses of people typing right now, but while they're typing, just to give you guys an understanding of the Bid Perfect and the premium report that's integrated into Roofle today. So the Bid Perfect, it's a newer product for y'all. Before we had a product called Quick Squares. That was a square count predominant pitch, and we kicked it out in about 20 minutes. And we got a lot of good feedback around how we want to have more precision at the front. So Bid Perfect is essentially what we're doing. So Bid Perfect is actually us doing and measuring a full premium report, and then we're just gating some of the information off of it. So when you're doing the upgrade from Bid Perfect to the full premium, it's going to be the exact same thing because it's coming from the exact same measurements. So that's why this is also imperative when you're using it inside of Roofle, that you can have that confidence of when you're doing the automatic, or if you're manually triggering that Bid Perfect to help push out a final proposal out to the homeowners, that you have the confidence backed by a full premium report, so that you can give a nice quick Bid Perfect's about 30 minutes. So that report comes out in 30 minutes. You can go it out to the homeowner within the hour. and you can rely on that to be the same. So if you're ordering for production, through Beacon or whatever, that you have exact same numbers there to tie together. So both of those products, BidPerfect and Premium, are there for you guys to order within the platform.
Awesome. And we have a question from Jason Granda. Will there be a walls upgrade to bid siding next? Is that directed specifically at EagleView or at RQP?
I think it's probably RQP, but just so EagleView provides wall data. So we have what's called our newest release. It's called Full House. Really excited about it. It's coming. It came out about 2 weeks ago, right around IRE. Great experience there. We're essentially measuring. There you go, bingo. So we have the full house that are measured from all the windows, the doors, even foundation, or if you have like a rock facade in the front, we're able to call those things out. And so that data will be available through your EagleView account. I know that Roofle is looking at all different types of products that they can get to incur more of that lead and interest. But Chris, I'll let you.
Yeah, no, well said once again. But really, when you think about it, the toughest part is getting on your partner's roadmaps, and that's both, because everyone's working on making their current product better, working on next level stuff, and all that. So we've done over the past 12 months have done the hard work to have our programs talk to each other. And again, any devs that would ever listen to this, I'm not saying it's easy, but a lot of the hard work has already been accomplished. And these are the lighter lifts that we would have to integrate, because it's really more the billing, where it shows up, how it populates. So to add another product, because this would be, harnessing what EagleView is already doing through, if you think of it sort of like a tube or a highway, we're already shooting information back and forth through this corridor, where we're able to go now just put a different input and then have a better output based on the corridor that's already been established.
Perfect. That's it.
Excellent. Very nice synopsis. We've got another one from Jason Granda. Will BidPerfect have hips, ridges, eaves, rakes, measurements included? That is key ventilation and gutters.
So it does not. So BidPerfect is essentially square footage per pitch. So think about all the different pitches on a roof. So if you're charging, something around, for example, $300 per square on a 412, but $600 per square on a 1212, we're going to be able to tell you how much square footage is on that higher pitch for all the pitches. That premium roof report, that's going to have all the hips, ridges, valleys, and rakes, all the necessary things for you guys to make a really airtight estimate, or if you're ordering for production on the backside. But yeah, the BidPerfect, it's $18. It's back to you guys in about 30 minutes or so. It's literally named for what it's supposed to be doing. Is if you guys are basing it on like a square count, we can give that information to you guys fairly quickly. And if you want the premium in the front, you can do that as well. That's about a 3 to 4 hour turn time for us. But either way, we wanted to draw the line between the two to say that you can go out and bid on a cheaper rate quicker with the BidPerfect that's backed by that premium data, and then do the upgrade to the premium once you're ready for production or anything else like there. But yeah, it's square footage predominant and pitches per facet on it as well.
Excellent. That's a really nice selling tool, in that the cost of acquiring a lead is very high to begin with, and the cost of securing an actual paying customer is higher still. So $18 for a BidPerfect to be able to show up to that customer's house with those full diagram measurements that you can show to them of, hey, this is the level that we're bringing to the table. If you need to go further, if that customer is ready to sign now, all right, it is, it's qualified that additional cost to get you up from the BidPerfect to a premium.
And I should mention, and I apologize, that so when you're spending that $18 on that BidPerfect and you go and do the upgrade to that full premium, that $18 you spend on that BidPerfect is actually applied to that premium roof report. So you're not spending a whole another 40 whatever bucks on the report. You're just spending the difference. So we're all about process and workflow. That's where we have to live as technology partners. And so that's what we're trying to make sure you guys have, those sales tools in the front that gives you enough information, and then make it easier for you guys to upgrade once you close the job.
There you go. Yeah, keeping it streamlined from beginning to end with get your instant quote right out the door, show up on site with your BidPerfect, and upgrade from there as needed. Yeah. Great. Have we got anything else to close out? You guys got anything else you want to share or show?
Just thanks for the opportunity. This has been fun. Obviously, I love talking with Chris. I think this is going to be a really market shaking type of solution that's really going to be out there for a long time. And to Chris's point, it's about not owning the tool, but using the tool. I think that's what makes, a contractor go from good to great. And again, excited to be a part of this. Thanks for the opportunity to speak, Justice.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate both of y'all's times. These conversations are invaluable, both for our contractors to be able to get some more insight into what we're doing, what's on our roadmap, how we see ourselves fitting into their process, as well as for us and for our team. Again, I learn all kinds of stuff from these conversations. So thank you so much for your time. Chris, any last words before we let everyone go?
Nope. Thanks. I want to say thank you to Brady and the rest of the EagleView team. We really appreciate the partnership and the support. And thank you to all our contractor customers. And if you're not a customer, check out EagleView again. It's always changing, getting better and better. Check out, Roof Quote Pro and Contractor Loan Pro as well. And just remember is that think about the way your customers buy everything else in their life. And all we're doing is just applying that same tactic in this space. So appreciate everyone's time.
Absolutely. And if y'all need anything out of us, myself and the rest of my team are available at win.roofle.com. You can find a lot of resources there, more of these webinars. You can find our tutorials. And most importantly, you can very easily book meetings with myself or anyone else on our team to get any kind of insider information you might be looking for. With that, we'll let everyone go. Thanks again, guys. We'll catch everybody next time.